they're not going to dip in their pockets. They're going to dip in your pockets as a customer.
Right.
They're going to keep their profits
and
make more money.
The other part of the conversation is them talking about charging the customer more.
That's why they were like, we're just going to pull out because we refuse to let you, the government, tell us, our private business, how we need to dictate how we exploit immigrants. Like, that's what it is.
I'm supposed to get
How dare you tell me that I can exploit this marginalized group of individuals? Like, no. We'll make a stance right now and just pull out of this one little city because who cares? We got other areas. Welcome back to Chocolate Espresso Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Newer. Whatever floats your fancy. I'm not super duper uber coober duper lift. I lost my train of thought. I ain't Biggie. I'm your host, Thomas Newer. I already said that. Yeah, y'all messing up my whole intro.
I'm innocent and I ain't do nothing.
Look, this is different, man. Look, we got everybody back in their regular positions. We ain't got no special guests this time. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's in their regular spots. Cam 2, we got our favorite. Is she our favorite? She my favorite. I'll let that go. She my favorite. She beautiful. She gonna introduce herself. You guys, go ahead.
It's teenager Aaliyah. Welcome to Chocolate Espresso.
We got Cam 3, regular.
What's up? It's Alizé in the building. What's up?
And surprisingly enough, Dwight's actually earned the full intro as long as he keeps it under 10 seconds.
Hey, King Dez, welcome to Chocolate Espresso.
Back to your regularly scheduled program. It could be like a little kid getting a temper tantrum. Because if you think about it, the government is abusing that marginalized group too as well.
Listen, Uncle Sam has no problem doing it, but how dare you, nephew, do this?
That's exactly what I mean.
Stay in your lane, all right? As long as I'm here.
You know what though? Like seriously though, like on a very really serious note though, it is kind of, it's not scary, but it's like I'm wondering what they're gonna do in another year, right? Like I feel like Uber does. Again, they have the money, they have the backing. Right, to pull out and continue to pull out and stay out as an FU, right, and make a stance on that matter. What's next? Like, what are these people going to do, right? Because now you got a community of individuals who don't have a job.
Business idea. We're going to have people that are going to need transportation. Hold on, get with me on this real quick.
Go on the private sector.
Got a private practice.
But that's what happens.
Or they'll re-up on the taxis. Because I was having a conversation. I was having a conversation the other day, oddly enough, in the middle of Sally's with the workers. Like, I don't know, we're cool there. But we were talking about how before Uber and Lyft really became a huge thing in the Twin Cities, that there were like multiple different taxi companies. And the one worker was saying how she hasn't heard of Rainbow Taxi in a while, or whichever, I think it was Purple Taxi or something like that. She hasn't heard of that service in a while. She was like, do they even still exist? And we all were like, we don't know. But to your point,
might be
that come back?
Right. It's interestingly enough,
on-call
though,
taxis.
That might be the new, that they might have a comeback. Maybe they feeding for it. Maybe they're part of the reason why they pushed for this so hard, because those same drivers that were doing the taxi service are the same marginalized group of people that went straight over to Uber because they figured,
what I'm saying. People did leave their taxi jobs. I do know that there were some people, and people that were like, even like taxi driving, like that was still around for a while. It's still around here in Minnesota. So there's people that have drove for like 20 years as their full-time job. So it just made sense. Like, okay, cool. This new thing's starting up, but it's the same game. I drive people where they need to go. Not a problem. And then you over here, like, dang, hold up.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, too, like there still are government contracts for taxi service. So there are like, again, marginalized individuals, like the people that are on the spectrum, people who have health issues, people who are just on the government's payroll, not because they're employees, but because they are just full-time, I don't know. You get the point. They get services from taxi services. That's probably why they're still propped up to this day, is because they're the government contracts that are around. They also got railroad contracts as well. Believe it or not, those cabooses, I think that's what they're called. I think they're called cabooses. Google it real quick. The caboose, the actual engine of the train, the thing that drives the train, those drivers sometimes have to stop at certain random areas. Not random, but there's certain areas they have to stop because it's like similar to like airlines where you can only drive for so long. And that's a designated spot where this conductor has to stop. And the taxi driver, because I've also had meters on those roads, go on this weird road that looks like, you about to get chased by a murderer. You got to drive there. You got to pick them up, and then you back out and you get them where you got to go. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's a whole thing, like, believe it or not. And it's weird. Even like the airline industries. Sometimes they get taxis where they got to go, or they preferably they use the hotels drivers, which is also like maybe they go there instead because those drivers make good money too.
Well, okay, you know what? And I completely actually forgot about this. You mentioned that this, just thought about it when I was flight attending, and I was in New York. There is they call it. Do I want to say this out loud? Yes. I will. They call it a Q car service. Q, like a KEW car service. And it's for airline employees. Like strictly for like flight attendants and pilots and whatnot. And they are pretty much the taxi for them. Like strictly for them. So I mean,
I need to get on this flight in 2 hours.
Yeah,
we'll get you there in 30
So
minutes.
what the thing was is it's similar to what you can do with your Uber and your Lyft, how you can schedule your ride. You call them and say, hey, I need to be at the airport. I need you to come pick me up at 3 or whatever. Or I need to be at the airport by 3 or whatever. And depending on how far away you are, they will time it or whatever. But the great thing about that was, so great, that it was one flat rate. It wouldn't go up, it wouldn't go down. It was just $12 was the rate. And it was just $12 every time you needed to go either to the airport or back from the airport to your crash pad or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't think that this is not that huge of a market for that here, but there is something similar that can be done in that aspect. Like if people were to if businesses really were to rent a car, hire a driver, hire a couple of drivers, and there you go. Now you can get your workers to and from home.
Yep.
What if let's look at this from the opposite side of things, right? As a consumer, taking a Lyft, right?
Yeah.
How would you feel if it was F the miles on the vehicle, F everything other than, let's just say they charge you 75 cents per minute for your ride. If it was within X amount of miles that you pay by the minute. If it was past that, then it could vary for other stuff. Right. But let's just say you were going like, I don't know, let's say you're from Minneapolis to St. Paul, depending on your area, it could be 20 minutes. If you're paying 75 cents on the minute, maybe it's like, I don't know, $16 after tax. When back in the old day, it would be like a $8 ride or a $15 ride. So it's almost the same, but it's an extra dollar. Would that really matter to you?
I don't think people would bother for that.
You wouldn't be bothered by it?
I don't think I'd be bothered by that.
What would you think?
Is it combining? Like,
so let's say like right now before May 1st when Lyft and Uber pull out, right? Let's say you were going 20 minutes and it was like from Minneapolis to St. Paul, depending on your area, it's a 20-minute drive. That rider, let's say you as a consumer, you're paying like right now, depending on the time of the day, let's $15, right? After May 1st, if Uber is basically like, to afford to keep riders in Uber in this area, we're going to pay them the minimum wage, $15 an hour. Let's say the ride instead has to go by like X amount of whatever per minute, so $1 a minute. But instead they say, hey, if you're within, let's say 20 miles, if you're going within 20 miles or whatever, right, from wherever your location is to wherever you're trying to go, we will charge you 75 cents per minute, right? And if they say minus, what is it called? Rush hour? They don't equate to rush hour. So instead, let's just say no matter what time of day it is, if it's 75 cents per minute, instead of paying the $15 for the thing, it might be like $16 or $17. So it goes up by $1 or $2. Does that make sense?
Okay, so
the overall, when you break the numbers down, it'd be up like by $1 or $2.
Yeah. Would that really matter to you or anybody really?
No, because I need to go where I need to go. And if I have to take an Uber or Lyft to get there, now, I'm not saying they go crazy with like something that was $15. Yeah, and now it's $30. Yeah, I might find another way to get there if I can. But then just an extra $2.
Right. Because to make sure people get paid, right? I wouldn't be offended by that.
But keep in mind, depending on the day, that $15 an hour might really be $8 on average. Like if you as a consumer know that you typically make this trip, right? And that trip, you purposely do it at a time where instead of it being $15, it might be $8, which is real, right? And now you're forced to always pay $15. That's where Uber is trying to exploit that as a reason to pull out, because they're like, what about those who can't afford to spend the extra blah, 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 because we have to make it more? Do we care about those people?
No, my thing
I mean,
is,
I care about that person because, like, if it's typically an 8-minute ride, then, you know, like, dang, okay, cool, you're going to double it on me. You know what I'm saying? But you're only going to double it on me so you can keep your pockets protected. It's kind of petty.
What were you going to say?
I was trying to sit here and say, now that I know what the Uber is holding, like, I'm just going to say y'all agree on that part. But to try to charge me more like that, yeah, after a while, like, even with all of this going on, without telling my mom, like, yeah, it's time for me to go get my license. Because
I'm going to need a vehicle.
Because y'all right now is being petty. Y'all being petty. And y'all really not caring about the consumer. So what's going to happen, some people, like me, I use Uber and Lyft to go to work. I'll use Uber and Lyft when I'm not feeling good, so I need to get to the hospital quickly, or just I don't feel like moving around. But I know I need to go take care of business, so I'm gonna Uber to wherever I need to take care of business from instead of taking the public transit. Yeah. And then also with other stuff, now Uber and Lyft is kind of sort of a lifeline. And like I told them, like, it's a lifeline because I know how the Metro Mobility is, and with them trying to run late with me doing this, that's not working for me. Mm-hmm. Well, Uber and Lyft is like right there.
So let's say if like maybe this goes back into reinvesting into public transportation, and this could be a deeper investment into our communities and making, again, public transportation more reasonable, right? We got buses, we got the long buses, we got the Metro mobility, which is the short buses, kind of like the short buses on the school. We also got a public train, but they're also re-upping in the richer neighborhoods and bringing them into our cities because guess what? They back before COVID, they used to have, what do you call those things? Like those huge parking ramps, and they have them busing in one of those parking rides.
Yeah.
They had literally like 4 or 5-story parking infrastructures where they could go there, park their car there, and get one of them big coach buses to bus them into the cities so they can work them jobs. And then since COVID, really, it's either work from home or they just drive all the way in, which is kind of interesting. Right. But, you know, we had all these public infrastructure, and believe it or not, we're still one of the worst public transportation, voted one of the worst in the U.S., which is weird to me because it doesn't seem like that, but I also don't take public transportation. Right. So that's different.
I think we just got I think we just got used to the abuse. You know what I'm saying? Stockholm syndrome.
I think when I remember talking to somebody about this when I used to work at a nonprofit, part of the problem that apparently lied, I'm sure it's still the same. You know, what they look at is like how far do you have to walk to get to public transportation? So if you're walking like 6 blocks just to get to the nearest bus stop, that's kind of trash compared to a lot of other states where you can walk 2 blocks, 3 blocks, like half the distance just to get to it.
You can walk out your house. You literally walk out your house. You'd be like, buses right there.
And like I grew up in a house that wasn't far from public. It was like 2 blocks, give or take, to a public bus. But even then, you also have to look at how soon does that bus come? How often and how soon?
How frequency?
Right. And even if there's a bus every like 30 minutes, I don't know, is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, you got one coming every 30 minutes, you got one coming every hour.
The active ones are considered every 15.
And that's the thing, is that bus that's every 15 going in the direction you need it to go? No, maybe it does, but then it goes right, maybe it goes left, maybe it goes straight. So even if you get on the bus,
there's different versions. You'll get a B or an N or an M, and it's the same bus number.
See, he talking like,
but it will go
calculus to me. I don't understand.
Literally, it'll go right instead, or it'll be head to southeast. It'll go west, and you'll be like 10 miles away from what a regular route has. I've actually had that happen, and that's crazy.
People don't understand because they be asking me like, "Oh, this bus take you straight to your house?" And it's like, "No, baby, I got to go this direction and take another bus that goes to my house." And when they drive me home, they see the other direction. They're like, "A bus don't come down here," and I'm like, "No," and they looking like, "Oh, well, that's weird." Like, yeah, in a car, it takes from my workplace to my house. In a car, it takes maybe 10 minutes, depending on traffic.
Yep.
And 10 minutes is actually with traffic.
That's wild.
But when I catch the bus, it's almost an hour. And that's depending on how many stops the bus makes.
Don't even get me started on the whole idea that when they wanted to build that train system, they wanted to skip over my community. Crazy enough as it is. There was a whole huge, it wasn't a riot, but it was a huge protest about that. And they try to quote the fact that, we're trying to get from downtown St. Paul to was the airport or the Mall of America with under an hour, and it's like you're literally skipping over one of the bigger people who are going to get on this bus. That whole community, a lot of them take the bus, and it would be easier for them to take the train, and you skipping over us on purpose is just crazy. We were super diverse community. So
the thing about the train though is I liked it when it was the 16 and 50 going because you already know I know that area. Because the 15, because it's like stop every 2 blocks or something like that.
I'm just smiling and waving, by the way. I don't understand what she's saying.
Whatever, shut up.
I mean,
Anyway, they used to stop like every 2 blocks, something like that. But with the train, sometimes you have to get off at this stop and walk down here. And I'm like, so it was a lot of stuff on University where I need Uber or Lyft.
Especially University.
I'm not going.
Especially
I do remember that though. The bus would stop, every 2 blocks, and then since the train was built, now it's like the train is stop at every 3, 4? I think it's every 4 blocks because it's like a
feels
major
more
street.
it feels like more every 5.
If anybody
4
ever
blocks.
cares to look this up and understand what we're talking about, if you look up, what is it, Hamlin? What's the first one? Look up Rice Street in St. Paul, Minnesota. Then look up what's the next one? Western. There's a stop on Western. But that's pretty much the consistency on the distance of stops. It's Rice Street, Western, Dell Street to
every stop
Grotto?
is a new subcategory of the city.
I think it skips over Grotto. No, it's not Grotto.
Skips over Grotto.
What's the next one?
Something that
Victoria.
Victoria, then Lexington.
It's Dale, Victoria, Snelling Avenue, Lexington. My bad. Lexington, Hamlin. Then Snelling. So it's like that's how it keeps going. And then it spaces out further after that, I think. Yeah. Because again, from Rice Street all the way to Hamlin is the literal community that literally gets on the freaking train. And they wanted to skip over from Rice Street to Dale. It was past Dale. It was like Dale to Lexington. They were like, they're going to get rid of half of those stops from Rice Street to Lexington for whatever reason.
Dale is most popular one,
and they were not trying to put it in. So I don't know. It was a huge thing, and I feel like this might have to change. You still here?
I said I'm new here.
She don't know.
The thing about it is they trying to add more trains.
That's where I was at back when I lived in my apartment on West 7th. They were like, they literally had us sign a petition because they were going to make a yellow line that went straight from the mall, jagged through the West St. Paul, South St. Paul area up to St. Paul. And there were so many small businesses. They're like, you're going to tear us up. You're going to tear us up. By the way, it was a very small, the construction they would have had to do was monstrous because it was a small street to begin with. And it was just everybody signed that paper so fast. Every business, every person. And they
did the same thing in St. Paul, believe it or not. And the saddest, funniest, and most frustrating part about it, and this is public. What do you call that? This is nonprofit Thomas back in the old day. Now I'm corporate Thomas. I'm for profits. Don't quote me on that. My profits. Nonprofits are important. Don't get me wrong. There are some that are great. In downtown St. Paul, they built that train so quick. They tore up the roads. They built it up real quick because that's where the money was. When it came to University Avenue, where a lot of the nonprofits, the smaller businesses, all the immigrants that owned it, all the footwork, the groundwork, the important things that made part of the soul of Rondo community. Look up Rondo St. Paul. There's a lot of history there. It was all black. Then they kicked us out. They tore our houses down. They built 94. They took our train from us before that. And then they wanted to put it back. They took over a year. It took them months to do downtown. It was 8 months or something like that. It took them it was a year and a half and then some change to go all the way through the University Avenue, where a lot of diversity and the heart and soul of it, all the businesses and the foods and all of this. They took their sweet time, and a lot of those businesses closed doors because they couldn't afford to keep open. You couldn't find parking. You couldn't drive up to it. All this, and then to make it insult to worse, they would ticket anybody who would park in the surrounding community, the people who own the houses in that area, because there wasn't enough housing, and they figured, hey, we still need to have parking for people who live in this neighborhood. So, if you wanted to go to these businesses, you couldn't park, I think, within a block of that. Or even if you couldn't even find parking because guess what? The employees that work there either had to park there or the people who lived there would park there. Similar to when you look at, if you have a state fair, what are the people at the state fair? The people who own their houses living there, they would purposely put trailers and stuff. They would block off their area just because they didn't want you parking in front of their house or any stuff like that. It's a whole thing. What you want to say though?
No.
Oh, but anyway, it's just this is a long one, but I'm just saying, like,
corporate greed.
When Uber and Lyft pulls out, all because they don't want to pay a bare minimum. When apparently Uber has over 100 billion. Am I
billion?
You sure not million? You sure
not mil?
Spell it. Bill. Go to BIL.
BIL.
Okay.
BIL.
They got more than enough money. This ain't Walmart where if they gave everybody minimum wage, it wouldn't work. I'm just saying.
It ain't little bill. It's big bill.
That's crazy. I also have my little hot take. This is my to wrap up here. We're gonna do a little our favorite little segment here. Brand new segment. We're gonna do a little hot take. Should a CEO make 5% of the most positioned employee position? So let's say if the biggest position in the company is a call center position for the corporation, and let's say they make like, I don't know, let's say like 40,000 on average. Should they make 5% on top of that, or 5% of the overall employee average? CEOs should make 5% of either the overall employees. So let's say they got 1,000 employees and the average of all those employees are like 150,000. Should they make 5% more than that as a CEO, or should they make 5% of the most occupied position in the company? Ooh. That's tough. That's a tough one. I got y'all really thinking on that one, huh? Should we up it a little bit? Let's say 15% more. I feel like, because to be fair, CEOs' jobs are to keep the company and make some hard decisions.
They're literally to be the business owner in place of the business owner, pretty much.
Pretty much, it's the shareholders.
Keep it right. They're supposed to keep it going.
They might make some hard decisions that everybody hates, but when you overhire like they did during COVID, and then guess what? They started firing thousands of people because they overinflated themselves. That's part of the decisions that the shareholders had and the CEOs had to make. The CFOs, similar to whatever, but you get the point, right? So your overall job is to keep the company afloat one way or another. Employees are to keep the business going, right? They're the cogs in the smaller parts of the machine. So I feel like I think 5 is too low. I think 15 to 20% more than the average of the overall employees are 20% of the most occupied position in the company. That's tough.
It's hard. It's hard because there's so many variables, especially with different business models and everything like that. If you are really being a CEO, you really should have a fat wallet. Like if you're really doing the job that it really is like some of these people aren't even home with their families because they're spending every day flying around the country or trying to make business and trying to make deals, try to do things like that. Like you're really being a business owner when you're being a business owner. I could say personally for me, take the average salary of all of the positions in the company, and the CEO can make 50% more than that. That should bump them up to the higher.
He said 50. I said 20.
Yeah, 50% more than that. Like I feel like if everybody's making 100,000, you reasonably should be able to make 150 to 200,000. But I don't think you should get an extra bonus. I don't think you should get a $4 million bonus at the end of your year.
What if that includes housing, cars,
what
food?
What
company pays for it?
Why are you trying to get 5 cars? That's why I never understood.
For CEOs, a lot of companies, like I'm saying, like you just said, a lot of companies, I'm talking about, like that's their take home. Like the write-offs that a CEO gets is horrendous. They get a ton of free stuff. That's what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't think you should have a bonus $1 million paycheck.
But your salary ain't nothing. When you got housing and cars paid for by the corporation.
If everything else is paid by the corporation, all that is funny money. Like,
funny money.
All that is funny money. All you're doing is sending that money back home to your wife, kids, husband, children, for all your fun stuff.
And your
everything else is
second and third family.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, all that stuff is fun money at that point. Like when you got bonuses that are like, some of these bonuses are crazy. Like they get free diamond necklaces, free G-Wag. Like they get crazy gifts. Like
what it is.
It's like no. There's no reason why you should have a $4 million check after you fired $4 million worth of people. Like I think that's petty. So that's just my personal take.
So he says up it to 50. What you think, Alize? It's a tough question.
Yeah.
She's like, I ain't see you.
You don't even want to answer that.
Me and Alize don't know how to answer that.
Yeah,
we're gonna stay out of this one.
I'm gonna stay out of this one.
Yeah,
stay out of this hot take.
Look, we're gonna let the people with them business minds.
No, I know what they're saying. I got the business mind. I just don't want to answer the question because
I'm not even gonna lie. Alize is more so
keep it
common sense. Hood type mentality, so it's a little bit, just a little bit out of her comfort zone. She don't know how to answer this.
My little synopsis. I think 20 to 25% is fair of the mass qualified. I don't know, the mass position in your company. if it's HR, if you got more HR employees, of which I doubt. I don't know.
You got more welders than everybody else?
I don't know, like Walmart, right? Let's say like the most positioned people you got is like what, store clerks or cashiers, whatever, sales, whatever. Add them all up, find the average, give me like 25%.
How about you pay them more?
See, to be fair, wait, hear me out. Because factually, there's been a lot of research into that because Walmart's Walmart.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you pay every employee $1 raise, that would kill their profit. Like that's all their profit that they made over the year worldwide. If you paid every employee just $1 raise, they wouldn't have nothing.
So
they would
that's why
actually
they
be
didn't hire
bankrupt.
me?
Huh?
That's why they didn't hire me.
Maybe. Who knows?
I need $22 an hour on full time. I know my worth. They were like, nah, bro.
No, I didn't even do that. I applied twice. Once, like I went in and applied. Then the second time I went on Indeed and applied. And I really needed them at the time. I really needed the job. Didn't hear back from them either time.
They said you were overqualified.
Some jobs you ain't got to tell me no twice. You ain't got to tell me no once. Because I'm already thinking about the next job.
You
ain't called back?
I'm okay with sales, though. I'm okay with sales. Like, I'm really okay with sales, but it's okay.
You okay with sales?
Yeah. I'm not.
Take your pretty self to a car dealership.
I'm not. I did sales for too long, and yeah.
You don't want to do car dealership?
I sold a couple.
Sales, like me working at a grocery store, me working at literally a sales place like
receptionist.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Now, don't try to get me to sell somebody something, baby, because I will tell you straight up. Even when what job I used to work in, they used to get mad at us because they wanted us to
do some sales.
JCPenney's got mad. Well, not they didn't get mad, but they kept trying to get us to do more cards.
Oh,
the
credit card.
I'd be looking at them. I'd be like, "Do you want a credit card?" They know.
That is a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother beast. These companies, getting you to they're trying to push their credit card. Like, come on, the national debt average is already trash. The national debt average is already trash.
I got a question. Do you get kickback for that though? If they sign a credit card?
It depends on the company.
It depends on the company and the agreement they have. Some places you'll get a bonus.
Yeah.
So like what? Do I get a bonus of the overall debt that they get?
No.
Because it ain't worth it if you're not going to keep kicking me back money.
One situation I was in was like, if you made a sale, like ours was credit cards, it was like a bonus membership thing, and they just paid like $20 to get on it. But like if you successfully did do that, you would get like $10 on your paycheck.
No. Listen, Linda, camera on me. Listen, if I'm selling you a credit card at one of these crappy little stores like Macy Pennies or whatever, JCPenney's, Sears when it was around, any of that stuff, let me tell you something. I want 2% of your overall debt per month that's been paid out. Okay, so if they spend $1,000, I want 2% of that overall debt that's been paid. So I want the bare minimum. All right, that ain't much to these companies. But if I got 20 people to sign the credit card, I want 2% of all those 20 people. That's 10%.
I would say and say that is more an initiative because you say you get $10 on a check. Well, you got $10. Where with us we get nothing but a certificate. Oh, you did it.
Yeah,
insulting.
One of the places that I worked at, yes, you got a good job.
Yeah, maybe
good job. You sold 12 cards.
At that point, what do I get if I didn't sell one?
You signed 12 cards. Nothing. You get nothing.
So I have no initiative to do this.
You get nothing when you did. You get nothing when you don't. So
sometimes it's not nothing. Sometimes you got your managers on you hard. Like, I see this month you didn't push your credit card. Nobody signed up under you.
Yeah.
So you know how much I would have gave them that straight face? I would have given them that straight face so bad, and I'd have been like, oh, okay, thank you. And I would have went back to my desk and applied on it.
Looking for another job.
No, I did think about it with me. I just ignored you. I'm here for a paycheck, and if they don't want to sign up, like I said, I'm not going to force them. That's why I said, you talking about me selling cars, that's not going to work. Because I'm going to be like, do you want? I would tell them all about the car, the mileage, and da-da-da. And if you say no, I'm be like, okay.
And the thing is, I'm okay with
15 to
sales
25%
positions for stuff that makes sense.
Nah, I know.
I was like,
Have y'all seen the market now?
2% of the paid out debt, I'll push it.
Yeah.
Give me kickback as the one that has to peddle this crap to people. That's all I'm asking for, but they ain't gonna do it. Because again, this is called corporate greed.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. I can't speak. Thanks for watching this episode of Chocolate Espresso Podcast. Again, corporate greed. And again, I never know how to end these things. Apparently, to Alizé, not Alizé. Tanaja? I'm gonna say Tanaja.
Oh my God.
Because of Tanaja, she said I could figure out a better way of ending it, but I like saying it. I don't know how to end this because it just looks better. All right, we out of here. Peace.